Welcome on over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host for the mystery, and we are going over something that is very prominent right now. This is a little bit of an older article from Christopher Smith, which I'll have linked down below. But as we know, the Toyota Tundra, the Lexus LX, that new V6 has been off to a rocky start, especially for the Tundra. And we know that recently there was a very large recall. Toyota is now saying the recall from May 2024, which stated engines could fail, that there is one fix. And that is that Toyota is going to completely replace 100,000 faulty engines. They're not going to replace a part. They're not going to replace one component, one section. Toyota is literally going to ship in the crate a whole engine, 100,000 of them. This is going to affect vehicles like the Tundra from 2022 to 2023. Vehicles like the LX600 with that twin turbocharged 3.4 liter V6. The recall affects 102,092 vehicles, about close to 98,500 of them being Tundras, 3,500 of them being Lexus LX600s. That problem was from debris getting into the engine due to manufacturing processes at the plant that were not properly done, that were not properly cleaned out, which led debris to being in the bearings of the engine. Now, this sounds serious, because it is. But this isn't the first time Toyota has had a recall like this, relatively with this type of weight. And this isn't the first time they've done a drastic thing like that. And usually, this is the point where we'd be very concerned. And we are, because what does this mean going for the Tundra forward? But Toyota is doing the right thing. I'm still concerned, obviously, how this is going to affect. Obviously, especially for things like the Tacoma, it's an all new generation. What kind of issues we may potentially see there, but Toyota didn't have to do this. They could have just gone and fixed one specific part of the engine, or they could have just said, "No, we're not going to do it." But the fact that Toyota is going to ship 100,000 new engines, completely new. If you were an owner of this new truck, I would understand. I would be hesitant. I would be like, well, I haven't even owned the truck for this long, and I'm getting a new engine. How can I trust the Toyota reliability? But also, if you're an owner of this truck, you bought a first year model, second year model. There's going to be a lot of kinks. That's why you don't buy a first or second year model. You're getting a brand new engine free of charge. I can promise you, we have issues we've covered it today. We've covered it before with Ford and Chrysler and other automakers that have engine issues. I guarantee you, none of those automakers thought, let's ship a brand new engine in the crate. So this has a lot of concern. This does, because I covered this in the podcast, talked about it in the podcast. What does this mean for an all-new generation, like for the Tacoma? From a Tacoma that went from essentially a dinosaur to high-tech. In a smaller engine like that, are we going to see those type of issues? We'll have to wait and find out. But the fact that Toyota is willing to eat up a cost, that is great. It's heavily. Because Toyota's going to lose money on this. Shipping brand new engines in the crate are not cheap. That's going to take a lot of labor. Service departments are going to get stressed. They are going to get filled. They are going to get stretched on labor and stretched on time. That's going to cost service departments a lot of money that Toyota's going to have to pay. Toyota's going to have to issue lots of costs for customers, whether it's with incentives on fuel or a new vehicle, maybe people wanting to trade in their Tundra and trying to keep them for something else. Toyota's obviously going to, within the dealers, they're going to have to, issue things. There's going to be lots of dealers and lots of customers obviously wanting things like rental cars and loaners while there's in the shop, because this isn't something you can do in a day. This is something that's, months. This is like a month. This can be many weeks or a month-long project. This is going to cost Toyota a lot of money. But, like I said, even though I'm concerned, I ultimately think Toyota did the right thing. And if you ask me, I've owned cars that have many recalls. When you have a recall, you're always like, oh wow, at least I got something fixed for free. But you're like, wow, that was the recall. I wonder, did they actually, was the engineering on these vehicles good? And so, like I said, there's valid reason for concern. There is. But if I was the owner of a Tundra, my truck was affected, I would be very ecstatic. So, especially something like that, to hear machine debris in an engine. I would be very ecstatic to hear, not that Toyota is going to replace a part and flush an engine, but Toyota is going to give a brand new engine. I'd honestly be pretty happy with that. Like I said, we'll have to see what this means down the line, especially with things like the Tacoma and things. And honestly, just with Toyota trucks in general. Toyota trucks have really had a revival from the Sequoia to the 4Runner to Tacoma, which, Tacoma and 4Runner obviously sharing powertrains and things. Obviously, we've got the Land Cruiser. We've got Sequoia, we've got Tundra, we've got, obviously Lexus is having a bit of a revival right now as well. So we'll have to see what this means down for the future. But even when Toyota didn't have to do the right thing, and it's costly to them, this is going to cost them. Like I said, the Tundra, I talked about it in our other videos earlier, the Tundra launch has been abysmal. It just truly has. It has been a bad launch. Everything right now that could have gone wrong with Tundra right now, especially at launch, or just what could have gone wrong in the beginning for Toyota, is going wrong. But it's good to see that Toyota is taking ownership. That's also going to do it for now. We're not really going to overhash this. Like I said, there is reason for valid concern that I have, but also glad to see Toyota do this. Let me know what you guys and girls think down below of this. If you are a Tundra owner that is experiencing this, and you are getting this recall, is this something, do you still have trust in Toyota? Are you going to keep the truck and do the recall? Or are you going to just trade it in and try to get something else? Let me know what you guys and girls think down below. That is going to do it for now. Like always, thanks for watching, everyone.